Let me ask you a question. Do you think that looking poor is important? Have you ever heard of the term stealth wealth? Well, in today's video, the conversation I want to have is about why looking poor is important. Why is it actually beneficial to you and your finances if you practice stealth wealth, if you practice being humble, if you practice just being below the radar? Because a lot of times today in social media, people want to flex their wealth, people want to flex their riches and what they have, and that makes them something that you should know what it is. My name is Adrian, and by the end of this video, I'm going to tell you the most important thing why stealth wealth, looking poor, is important. So if that sounds good to you, stick around until the end. Like the video for the YouTube algorithm, please and thank you. And subscribe to the channel. We make new videos like this on personal finance every single week. So I'd appreciate it if you subscribe, become part of the family. But without further ado, let's get into the video. One of the main and best reasons why looking poor is important, why it's important to practice stealth wealth, is you can protect your identity from hackers, scammers, all these people on the dark web that are just looking for a come up. These people have no intentions other than to take what other people have. And if you're flashy, if you are outgoing with your wealth, if you are someone who is high profile, then you are a target for scammers, thieves, and these nefarious people. So this is why it's very important that even if you have a little money, even if you don't think it's a lot, you have to understand that most people don't have much, right? The average American is in debt. The average person around the world does not have what you might have. And so even though you might not be a millionaire, you might not be a billionaire, you have more than enough for someone else to want to target you. And you have to be cognizant of that. I'm cognizant of that. There's certain things and places that I don't go, certain things and places that I don't say. There's certain people I don't hang around just because I don't want to make myself a target, just because I know what comes with that, right? So protect yourselves, and that's one of the important ways that you can protect yourself, protect your wealth, but most importantly, protect your family, because your family is also at risk. You might be the front person, the person making all the money, but your family is at risk. But speaking of family, you are also a target for family members. And so when I said family in the first point, I meant like the people who live in your house, your immediate family. So if you're a guy, it's your wife and your kids. If you're a woman, it's your husband and your kids as well, right? Or just your partner in general. Those are your immediate family. But sometimes you get third uncles, third cousins, people who want to be hanger honors, who want to be in your entourage. They can put you as a target as well. And sometimes they can be the one that set you up for like extortion and things of that nature, because they will have more access to you than the general public, more access to you than some outsider, but they will use their access to you to leverage them getting money out of you. A lot of times people are victims of financial crimes by the people who are closest to them. That's identity theft, because they know your first and last name, they know where you were born, they know your grandmother's maiden name. So all they have to do is get a few more key details and they can steal your identity. So while I stress the importance of having conversations about money and building wealth in an educational front, you should not have it with people necessarily that don't want to get that information, that don't want to do better, especially friends and family. And sometimes you might think that you are helping them by giving them money, but what you're really doing is enabling them. So do not enable them, because the one time you might say, no, I'm cutting you off, I'm not giving you any more money, now you become a target in their eyes. Another aspect that stealth wealth is important is that people are jealous, people at large, right? So it might not be in terms of your family, it might not be in terms of scammers, hackers, and things of that nature, but people might just hate you for no reason. They will have resentment. Maybe you have like a former business partner that you felt that they weren't going in the right direction for the business. So you said, you know what, I'm going to go my own way and I'm going to build a business how I want to build it. Maybe it's someone who was in your class in college. Maybe it's a cousin that you spent so many times and so many memories growing up with, but they see that you are excelling and they have jealousy and resentment. And that's a big thing. Jealousy and resentment can manifest itself into sometimes physical violence, but knock on wood, that doesn't happen to any of you out there. But outside of the wider society, it makes you a target. Elon Musk, I'm not saying I'm a fan of him, I'm not saying I hate him, but you see, if you go on the internet, there's a lot of people who have contempt for Elon Musk. There's a lot of people going after him, whether legally or otherwise, because he is someone who has amassed great wealth, who has different ideas than what they might disagree with. But guess what? The hating never comes from the top. Hating always comes from the bottom. So if you are in some sort of prominent position, especially financially, you want to practice stealth wealth because the hate is going to come from the bottom. It's going to come from the people who are not doing as well as you, come from the people who squandered their opportunities and think that you got lucky. But guess what? Your luck came in the form of hard work, perseverance, and patience. And they didn't have that, and now they think you're lucky, and now they might want to hate you and be jealous of you. Guys, if this video is bringing you value so far, please go ahead, like the video, please and thank you. Subscribe to the channel. We make new videos like this every single week. Another hidden benefit of practicing stealth wealth, another hidden benefit of looking poor, is that it can help you protect yourself from yourself, because we have this thing called lifestyle inflation. And so when you have a little bit of money and you start expressing yourself, you start making your lifestyle more and more expensive. And you see this a lot with entertainers and athletes, right? So they start getting these big NFL checks, big NBA checks, big soccer checks, and all they want to do is inflate their lifestyle. They want to buy big mansions, have several cars, take lavish vacations, take a lot of entourage and people everywhere they go, right? They want to foot the bill for a lot of this stuff, and it's just lifestyle inflation. And so if you were humble, if you were acting poor, if you were practicing stealth wealth, then you wouldn't feel the pressure to go out and flex that you have the biggest watches, the best clothes, the best vacations, and so on and so forth. And this is more like a social media thing, because you are looking outward for validation. You are looking for the likes on your Instagram page. You are looking for the people to validate you. But guess what? You don't need any of that to validate you. You are good enough as you are, and the work speaks for itself because your bank account is going to grow. And so if you start looking poor and start employing lifestyle inflation, don't be surprised that if one day when the money stops, you're in bankruptcy court, you're having your possessions seized because you didn't handle your money well. So you have to avoid lifestyle inflation. Always build your assets. Always make your assets pay for your lifestyle. Real estate, that's stocks, businesses, and so on and so forth. If you want a stock investing guide, the ETFs that I personally invest in and have been using for many, many years, check the link in the description down below for my ETF investing ebook. Two more points I want to make about the importance of practicing stealth wealth and practicing looking poor. And one of them is that it will actually stop you from being complacent. If you stay humble, if you stayed in the state that got you to the success, then you will never actually feel like you've made it. Now, I know that might sound like, oh, well, I want to enjoy the fruits of my labor. I will get to that in the next point. But you want to kind of dampen where you are. You want your reputation to be bigger than where you actually are. So if people think you're worth 10 million, you better be worth 20 million, right? So you want the actual truth to be bigger than your reputation, because a lot of times your reputation precedes you. A lot of times people's reputation is bigger than what they actually are. And what that comes with is people have the need to fulfill that reputation. If someone had a reputation of you of someone who's always generous, who's always paying for dinners, who's always taking everybody out on lavish vacations and trips, now you feel the need to live up to that, and that leads you to going broke. So you want to do the opposite of that. Practice stealth wealth, practice acting looking poor, and that will avoid you from being complacent. Because if your reputation is that you are a baller, you're doing all these great things, you start to internalize that. You start to believe that. You start to believe your own hype. And what that gets you is, oh, you wake up in the morning and you're saying to yourself, you know what? I'm a big baller. I don't need to grind as hard. I don't need to study as hard. I don't need to go after the cake that hard, right? You get complacent because you've thought you've made it. And really and truly, you've never really made it, because the game of life, the game of wealth, the game of getting ahead financially is to always, always, always be learning, always be trying to get better, always be trying to level up. The journey is the destination. The destination is not the destination. A lot of times you see people get to a certain point and they think they've made it, and that is when they're falling off. Because guess what? There are people behind you that's always going to want to take your place. So you always have to push forward, always have to persevere, always have to challenge yourself. And if you believe your own hype, you start thinking you've made it, and you stop doing the things that got you to the success in the first place. And now the final point I want to make about stealth wealth and the benefits of looking poor is that you can move through the world like that secret super agent guy that has this nice life that not many people know about. How great is that? How great would it be to be able to go to a restaurant, eat your favorite meal, talk with your favorite chef, and just leave. Nobody's taking pictures of you. Nobody's following you. You don't have paparazzi. You don't have to have security. Can you imagine what it feels like to be a super, super famous person like Taylor Swift or Beyonce or whoever else type of pop star? They can hardly go anywhere in public. They can hardly enjoy the freedom of just moving around how they want to move around. Everything they do has to be coordinated with a security team, with a manager, with an agent, with assistants, and so on and so forth. And what type of life is that? Tell me in the comments down below. Would you rather have the money but not the fame? Because that's what stealth wealth gives you. There's so many millionaires that walks among us that nobody knows who the heck they are, and they love it that way. They can go on a private beach vacation. They can rent a yacht in private. TMZ is not following them and making articles about them. They can go into any restaurant, any city. They can be in a concert. They can enjoy themselves. Imagine not being able to go grocery shopping. Imagine not being able to go to your kid's soccer game without the expectation of privacy. And that's a big thing, guys. You have no idea how much you will value privacy once you don't have it anymore. And a bonus point on stealth wealth and just acting poor is that it just avoids you trying to keep up with the Joneses. You keep things simple. Let those people run their own race. You run your own race. Once you see that all the validation you need is within you, within the people that are closest to you and the people who really value you for who you are, then you don't need to have the Instagram flicks. You don't need to have the nice cars. You don't need to have the nice watches and the nice clothes and the supermodels on yachts and so on and so forth. Because let me tell you something, a lot of those people are actually very unhappy. A lot of those people are actually just wishing and hoping that they could be back into the simpler way of life. Because you know what they get? They get a lot of people around them that they don't really know. Do they really like me? Would they be here if I wasn't being this lavish and being this generous with my money? Will these people be around if I ever get in trouble? Will these people be around if I ever lose my money? And the answer is oftentimes, unfortunately, it's no, right? So don't keep up with the Joneses, practice stealth wealth, and you know the importance of looking poor because you can get the money, get the riches, avoid the fame, and just know that you can live the best of both worlds. Having wealth, having access, but no fame, so you can actually enjoy it in a private and serene way. My name is Adrian. Let me know what you thought of this video. Give a like for the YouTube algorithm, subscribe to the channel, become part of the family. We love to grow the family, so I appreciate that. Check out the weekly newsletter, comes out every single Friday. Top link in the description down below. Peace.